What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Real Film Fanatics. I am your host, Farron Coleman, here with my homeboy Vito, and we are going through some of our personal top five favorite comic book movie villains. Comic book movie villains are they kind of hit and miss historically with comic book films. Historically, they're either really, really good or they're terrible. I usually don't see a whole lot of in between. And with that, they've kind of like a nice surprise or something that's special when you see a comic book film and the villain's actually quality. It's usually something that stands out. So that's something we wanted to kind of go through and debate. It's usually a strong debate, like amongst the film nerd community or the comic book community, who are the best comic book villains. So we're gonna just go back in order from five all the way up to our first pick. I'll go with my fifth pick. Vito will go with his fifth pick, and we'll just exchange going that way. I'll start off with my number five, and it's kind of a callback a little bit to some of the earlier comic book films that used to come out, and that is Magneto, specifically the Ian McKellen Magneto.
Ooh.
No disrespect to Michael Fassbender, he was great. But Ian McKellen's Magneto was a great villain for a few reasons. I liked the way that the films handled his relationship with Charles. Obviously, that's a very key aspect of the X Men story. And I thought the chemistry him and Patrick Stewart had worked very, very well for those two characters, and also enhanced, for at least for me, enhanced the way I viewed Magneto as a character. He wasn't just your regular mustache trolling villain, as we would say. He was, to me, very complex and very layered in his approach. And I always believe the best villains are villains where you can at least see their perspective somewhat. Not necessarily you don't agree with their actions, you don't agree with what they're doing, but you go, if I put myself in that person's shoes, I could see how, what I'm saying, that person could view the world that way or they would react to things that way. And especially, I don't want to go too deep into it, but being black men, we can understand the plight of mutants a little bit. And viewing things from Magneto's perspective, you can understand like the world hates me. The world hates people that are like me. So why do I have to like the world? Why do I have to, be a hero to the world like you and the X Men are? I can understand where he comes from, and I also can understand the methods he uses to get there. Because in his mind, he's completely radicalized. He doesn't see, the gray area that Charles sees. Of no, there are some good humans. There are some ways that we can coexist. In Magneto's mind, that's dead. That's not happening. Like in no world can humans and mutants coexist. And I thought through the three films, X Men 1, 2, and then The Last Stand, I thought his character was one of the key standouts throughout the three of those. And I really enjoyed seeing his character arc and what happened with him. And just for me personally, still to this day, one of my favorite villains. So Ian McKellen's Magneto, that's my number five.
You know what? The casting for that was perfect. Um,
Perfect. Perfect.
and they did this thing where Ian McKellen. I just looked it up. He was born in 1939, so he would have been 4 at the end of World War II, and
Yeah.
it fits because it was believable that this
Hmm.
guy's a Holocaust survivor, and
Yeah.
now it might have been a few years off because he should have been younger, but that's not
Yeah.
what it is. But like you
Yeah.
said, he was. I don't think he had that many memorable lines in it, but
Yeah.
as a whole, I'll say he definitely bodied the role,
Yeah.
especially with his relationship with Charles. My
Yeah.
number five, we spoke before we started, and I said I was going to change it up a bit.
Hmm.
Since you went X Men, I am going to go the Juggernaut from
Really? Which
from
Juggernaut? Yeah, because we
from
gotta
from
we gotta
from
specify.
those movies. What
Really?
was that
Okay.
3? The first one he was in, and
It was The Last Stand. Yeah, that was the one he
the
was in.
Last Stand, and not and again he's one of my favorite. I'm not saying he's good or he's the best,
Hmm.
um, because well the last one was CGI in Deadpool, but he
Yeah.
did they did a callback in there where he's I hope my timeline is correct. There's an abridged version of the X Men TV show, and the guys they do an episode with Juggernaut on there, and he's just running through walls, and I'm the Juggernaut, bitch.
Yeah,
Do you
yeah,
know who
yeah,
I am? I'm the
yeah.
Juggernaut, bitch. So every time somebody does something, he'll knock somebody out. I'm the Juggernaut, bitch. And they
That is
did that.
iconic. Yeah.
They added it in. I don't know. Again, I don't know. I didn't do the research on it. I'll probably go back and look at it. Which one came first?
Mhm.
I remember the cartoon coming first.
Yeah.
But let me see. When did Last Stand come out? But either way,
Last Stand was like 2006, I think, 2006 or 2007.
So it may have. So the movie could have came first. I know it was somewhere between. It was somewhere around that time frame.
Okay.
So either way, I guess the cartoon was more memorable to the movie than me, or the abridged version, and for that reason, he is my favorite. And again, he was in this film for maybe a total like 5-10 minutes, if that, and he didn't have a big role in it. He had that one line, or he had more than that line, but that was like his biggest line in the movie.
Yeah.
And I will say my comic book is going to go off a little off, because they make a lot of movies based on comics, and it doesn't follow the comic at all. So it may stray a little bit there. But I'm going to say that's my number 5. It's going to be Juggernaut. And if I was to actually sit down and write an extensive list, he would not be on there at all.
No, he wouldn't be on there at all. I think Juggernaut is actually, like, to me, one of the parts of that movie that to me didn't suck. Like,
Yeah.
I just just to make it clear, I personally am not a fan of The Last Stand for a few reasons.
I don't even remember it.
Yeah, there are a lot of mistakes in that film. Like, they're just a lot of things
Everything.
a lot of things.
Who killed Cyclops? What?
In like the first 15 minutes, though.
Come on, man.
Like, he's essentially not in the movie. Like that. Come on, bro. Yeah, there are a lot of mistakes in that movie, but I thought the way Juggernaut was portrayed fit for the universe they were in. Like, the giant CGI Juggernaut wasn't gonna work in that world. So I thought the way they utilized him for that universe and that iteration of X-Men worked.
And it was goofy, like they tried. I don't know if they tried to make it serious and dark, but the films had a kind of serious and dark, at least lighting wise. But then when it came down to the to the lines, or the dialogue, the script, they had a lot of little one-liners in there, little punches here and there that everybody had. It wasn't just one character. It was all of them, honestly. And that may have been the reason that. It's not the reason. The movies were just bad, but that helped for me. The little comedy aspects of it.
Yeah. So we started off with back-to-back X-Men villains. I'm gonna stay in the 20th Century Fox Marvel world.
Before you go, let me do my number 4.
Okay, go ahead.
This is going to be the Batman Joker. So Jack Nicholson's Joker.
Oh, that's a good one.
And again, the Joker may or may not come back up on my list.
Mm-hmm.
And I like almost every iteration of the Joker, and I love the spin that the actors put on it. And Jack Nicholson with his Joker, it was just a really goofy guy. Like it. I don't want to say the things he did were they weren't really funny, but he played it as if he was having a ball.
He was having a great time in that.
So like the Joker was having fun. Everything he did was hilarious to him. And again, for me, that's kind of what the Joker is, and even through, in the movies you see it, where the Joker takes his turns, where he's getting darker and darker and darker as a character, but also the same thing happens in the comic books, where, that's not the same Joker from the 30s and 40s. He gets darker and darker and darker even within the comic books. And I feel like that Joker was a perfect medium, because again, he was killing people in that movie, but to him, he was having fun. It was a ball for him. He enjoyed it, even if he wasn't laughing the entire time. He left like huh. That was like it was pleasant to
I
him.
had a good
You know what
time.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pleasant to him. So he had fun. And I think now you're seeing a lot of people where they build a joke where he's this way or that way. He's
Hmm.
either very psychotic and just crazy, or
Hmm.
he's just super goofy, which more so the cartoons do at this point. But that's gonna be my number 4, Jack Nicholson's Joker.
Yeah, that's gonna be hard to contend with this next one because that's an iconic role. And Jack Nicholson knocks a lot of roles out of the park, but
Yeah.
there's always certain roles that I thought were like that's perfect casting, and I don't know if there's another actor who could have done it quite like that. And Jack Nicholson's Joker is one of those for sure. So my number 4 is once again staying in the 20th Century Fox Marvel world. It's Alfred Molina's Doc Ock from Spider-Man 2.
Okay.
Um, I think Spider-Man 2, um, arguably still to this day, is the best Spider-Man movie made. It's that argument's gotten a little more difficult now because you've got Into the
Dude,
Spider-Verse
I,
and you've got
I and I'm a
yeah,
fan of these new Spider-Man movies, the
yeah.
Tom Holland Spider-Man.
Tom Holland
So
ones are great. No Way Home is phenomenal. So it's like
yeah,
before Spider-Man 2 was like on its own, that
yeah,
was the King Spider-Man movie. That argument's gotten a little more difficult now. But for nostalgia purposes, that original Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy is what I grew up with. A lot of people in our age range, that's what they grew up with. So for me, that's still my personal favorite. But
okay.
it's harder to like just plant the flag like that's the best one now with all the other Spider-Man films we got. But the reason I say Alfred Molina's Doc Ock is, in the top 5 for me in terms of comic book villains is the character is actually very sympathetic. Because when you're introduced to his character, him and Peter have a very strong like bond that they start to build. You can
Little
see
working
like Peter,
relationship.
what I'm saying? Peter looks up to him. He's very fascinated by his work and the things that he's doing, scientifically. And you see, essentially what happens and how he gets, the Doc Ock, the tentacles or whatever. And it sucks to see, like, looking back on it, it sucks to see Peter have to go through like I'm battling someone who was a mentor to me, someone who I
Right.
viewed as, a person within my inner circle who I looked up to, and now he's spiraling out of control by no fault of his own. I mean, the arms were controlling him. Like he didn't truly have control over his actions, and the film kind of hammers that point home. And I thought Alfred Molina also, throughout his performance, did a good job of showcasing that duality of I am not. playing a character who's not in control of his own actions right now.
Hmm.
You could see there's even scenes where like him and the arms are like talking back and
Fighting.
forth. They're like fighting with each other. He's like trying to fight to gain control of his own body back. And I always think, like I said, the best villains are villains where you can empathize with them or you can see where they're coming from to some degree. You don't agree with their actions. You don't think that what they're doing is right, but they're developed and layered characters to the point where they're just not, oh, that's the bad guy and he needs to be stopped. Like, no, these are layered, detailed characters who have a little bit more depth to them. And I thought Alpha Molina's Doc Ock captured that very well.
Yeah, and not while you were talking about him,
Yeah.
again, he was a good one. That
Hmm.
Spider-Man 2, I think for the most part still stands up.
Yeah.
Um, it may be a line here or there that's very cringy, but I think for the most part it stands up. My only issue with those two movies is the
Hmm.
whole hobgoblin thing. So first or goblin thing. So in the first
Hmm.
one, he tried to make super serums, a super soldier serum for him or serum, and it was controlling them. I feel
Yeah.
like they may have gotten too close to that concept in the second one
Yeah.
with the control part, and
Hmm.
but they did it in a way that it wasn't too similar, so he didn't even
Yeah.
know that he was being controlled.
Control. Yeah.
Till up until about the end of the movie, and he
Yeah,
finally
it was
understood
like
to
towards
do
the
it.
third act where he has that
Yeah.
conversation with the arms, and he's like, "Wait a minute, I don't
Hmm.
think I'm in charge no more." Whereas like Green Goblin, he kind of knew off rip,
He
like
knew he was fighting himself
it was
or somebody
battling.
else.
Yeah, he knew he was fighting inner demons kind of from the jump. So
Hmm.
they handled it differently. But no, that is a good point. It is
Yeah.
kind of a rehash. But I thought, like I said, I thought the way, and really Alfred Molina is the reason. His performance, I think, is
Yeah.
what made it what it was. And also the character was badass. Like he was definitely a worthy act. Like dude came in just tearing banks up. Like
Yeah.
no, he was like he
And
actually
then
did
he
some
ripped the
damage.
he ripped the vault off the wall, the door
Man,
off,
he
tossed
came
it.
through causing damage. Like that was one of the I remember like that's one of the first comic book movies I watched as a kid, or I was legitimately scared of the villain.
Okay.
Like 'cause I was, you know what I'm saying, like legitimately like watching like damn, I don't know if Spider Man got this. You know what I'm saying? Like he kind of came through with that kind of energy, so I liked that. That was really the first time as a kid growing up I got that feeling from a comic book movie.
I can yeah, I see it. I see it.
Yeah. Do you want to go ahead with your number three, or I can go? It's on
Uh
you.
do your number three, because my number three, I'm battling right now
Okay.
between
Okay.
two things.
All right. So my number three. If you haven't noticed, I have a little bit of a Marvel bias. Not nothing against DC, but I just think Marvel has created more good villains on screen.
I mean,
On screen. I'm
let's
not
be
talking about the
honest.
comics. On
They've been
screen,
putting out
Marvel.
DC's been putting out a lot of shit.
Yeah,
So
like
it's
Marvel has
hard.
put out better
It's
quality villains in their
it's hard
films.
to have a lot of good villains when you don't have a lot of good
Have good
films.
movies. No, that's true. And DC's also dropped the ball on some villains that could have been great too. But we ain't gonna go down that rabbit
100%.
hole. So number three for me, pivoting to the MCU now, is Killmonger from Black Panther. And
No,
see, you should have went.
no.
You should have went. You should have went. I tried to give you the out.
Dude,
I tried to
and,
give it to
and
you.
no, it's not. Because I'm sorry, and I'm gonna let you finish, but I hate that Killmonger. I hate him so much, and
Really? Okay, I'm gonna let you get
I
shit off real
I
quick.
hate it.
All right.
Because again, I like when you can sense a little bit of the villain, and
Mm-hmm.
you got like okay,
Yeah.
but I think Marvel has overdone it at this point where the villain is relatable.
Yeah.
Every villain is relatable at this point, and
Yeah.
with Killmonger, again, he had some good points. You killed my
Yeah.
daddy. You left me
Yeah.
in fucking. I'm an orphan, or
Oakland.
because
Yeah. You left me.
we don't know what happened to his mom, which was a problem I have with the movie. They
Yeah.
never explained
Yeah.
to it.
Yeah.
But his whole backstory, he was like 28 in the film, but he was like a doctor in something, like school wise. He was a doctor in
Yeah.
something.
Like very,
He
very
was
knowledgeable.
he was a special forces soldier with
Hmm.
like countless missions, and those don't work together. It just
Yeah.
doesn't. There's a clash because
Yeah.
to be a doctor, and not a medical doctor, but a PhD. You
Hmm.
know, let's say he went to school at 16, or he went to college at 16. He wouldn't have his he wouldn't have his doctorate to 23, 22, 23, maybe 24.
And then
And
from there it
then
goes into special ops.
and we're supposed to believe that then he joined one of the they didn't say the units that it was, but he
Hmm.
joins, let's assume, one of the most elite units in
Given
the
his skill set, it would have to be.
US military. And
Yeah.
then on top of that, just looking at the kills that he had, because he's all of the bumps on his body
Yeah.
signify to
Works in the
kill.
kill. Yeah.
His entire torso was, so
Yeah.
either he was just going slaughtering anybody that he came in contact with, or he's in the military, this special operations unit,
Hmm.
for years and years and years, which is more likely the first one, because we see
Yeah.
he's choking out old ladies, um,
I'm
and
actually gonna get back to that point actually, because
he's
that.
choking out old ladies. You're destroying the sacred herb that
Yeah.
again. And you wanted to come home. You wanted to take your revenge. You wanted to
Hmm.
help black people all across the world. And
Hmm.
again, he had a good idea, but it was flawed, because even the way that he planned on doing it, by throwing the country that you were, again, I'm gonna be honest with you. If I found out today that my real father was not my father, and he got killed by somebody, and they the
I got a
you
whole
know
lineage
I'm
in this.
royalty,
Yeah.
I wouldn't well, I can anyway. I wouldn't care about that country, is what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah.
And I think they could have did a better job in saying that for him, and his goal was more so to uplift black people around the world, but also the
Yeah.
way he was doing it was it was dumb. You're gonna,
Yeah.
because okay, we have spies, but you're gonna drop weapons off to these spies, and they're gonna
Yeah.
distribute them to who? the gangs.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
they're gonna give them to the gangs. Who
Yeah.
again? What are they gonna do with these weapons? Or
Mhm.
you're gonna give them to these random black and brown people who, again, are they gonna just take up arms against their countries
Mhm.
because the new king of Wakanda's like, hey, yo, let's do this.
Yeah.
And there was no plan, So he
Mhm.
had an idea, but he didn't have a plan because again, I'm gonna let you get back to your point. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was about to say you don't like Killmonger. You
I
really
hated that
do not
Killmonger.
like Killmonger.
What was the plan if he would have been successful in the coups that he was planning on doing? So you're talking
So
about
I'm gonna get to all of that.
all these African countries,
Yep.
one which hundreds of African countries that
Mhm.
you and your people are going to go, because again, Wakanda is a very small country, does
Yeah.
not have the manpower to do um, hundreds of other fights in other places. No matter
Yeah.
how strong the Wakandan tech is, their military, it's for defense. They can
Yeah.
defend all day long against anyone.
Versus
But when you
attacking is
versus
yeah.
attacking, you're spreading yourself out. So
Mhm.
there was no plan. He had no plan. And again, it he was, they tried to keep saying, oh, he was this smart, and which they could have left that out. He could have
Yeah.
just been a special forces guy
Yeah.
because he's this smart, but he has no plan. And throughout the film, he just looked like an angry child to me, lashing out. And
There you go.
you even see it when what's his guy Claw, when Claw
Yeah.
takes his girl,
Yeah.
he he shoots her, and it's
Yeah.
like, um how? And then
Yeah.
when did he kill Claw? It just, that's the movie issue, but
Yeah.
it was a
But
lot of
you
things
got a
that he
problem with Killmonger in the
I got
way
a
he was
problem. It,
portrayed.
it, it was it just did nothing he did made sense.
So
Even the beginning of the movie where he took out the CIA safe house.
yep, yep, yep.
What?
So
Um,
here's my rebuttal to most of that. Um, the character the character of Killmonger. I agree with you. Was a vengeful, childlike character in the way he was going about his plan. That makes sense though for how the character was set up. I think about the level of emotions going through you. Your father was killed by a nation that you weren't really aware that y'all came from fully. You don't know much about Wakanda at all, other
right,
than the
right,
stories your father told you. You come back and see your father murdered by that same nation. And now you're spending your entire life hunting, trying to get back there so that you can, A, get revenge and take the throne, but also liberate black people based on the circumstances you saw. We talking about a man who was growing up in Oakland. You know what I'm saying? He has the perspective of the African American plight here. So that's what he's bringing into the conflict. He's not, granted, he did say we can liberate black people all over, but he's coming to that with the mindset of what's going on in America. His father even touched on it when the film started. They're
yeah,
over policed and incarcerated. Wakanda has the tools to liberate everyone here. So the focus, even though he says everybody, the focus and what the personal connection for him is what's going on in the United States of America. That's like the key focus. And also going back to, him just killing a whole bunch of people. I got the impression looking at the movie, yes, he's intelligent, but he's an intelligent psychopath. Like he doesn't
very psychotic.
truly care about anybody else but himself. He may say he does, but he's a complete psychopath. Hence why he
Right.
killed his girlfriend so easily without thinking about it. Hence why he was choking the old lady. I'm like, he's psychotic. He's a psychopath. Like he doesn't, you know what I'm saying? He's almost Joker like in the way he just has fun inflicting pain.
Because there was no reason for him to choke the old lady out.
He enjoys it. He's like that, and that's what
None.
separates him into being a villain, right? Like, because if you just take Killmonger's message, his message isn't necessarily evil. It's people are being oppressed all over the
Right.
world and need to be liberated. That's not an evil message. But when you take that message and say we need to liberate them purely through violence, and I don't
Yeah.
care how many people have to die for that liberation to happen, black, white, or indifferent. Okay, now it looks a little different. So he's coming into the situation as a vengeful child in the sense of like I'm getting revenge for something that happened to me when I was a kid. And
Right.
I don't care who I have to go through to get that revenge. That's truly what I want at the end of the day. And I'm angry, so now I'm going to take that anger out on the world by any means I know necessary. Okay, what's the best way to do that? Well, I know about that. I don't think Killmonger took over Wakanda because he really cares about Wakanda and wants to rule Wakanda.
Right.
He took it over because that's the best means for him to get his revenge against A, his circumstances, and B, the country of Wakanda. Like that, him ruling Wakanda, in a sense, is him getting revenge against them. Because the same people that abandoned me, I now have rule over all of them.
Yeah. So this is my, and again, this is, so it goes back into a, I don't want to say philosophical, but more into a life thing where my issue is with them. Because you brought up some good points about it, okay?
Yeah.
And great points. And that's it speaks more, again, it speaks to why he's one of your favorite villains.
Yeah.
Because, I can see myself in him, this and that. So that's my issue with, and I'm not gonna get into this whole black empowerment thing and fucking as an adult. But again, the doctor or masters, how many ever masters or how many doctors he had, you've already rose above your circumstances.
He's a psychopath. You're forgetting that.
I know.
He's a psychopath.
So what
you're thinking about him as a rational person. No.
What I'm saying is this is how I see myself in him, because a lot of people came out of that movie saying, "Oh, he's he wasn't a villain." He's like,
"Oh no, he's straight up.
He's most certainly a villain."
Most certainly.
And because they seen themselves in him, they seen themselves living in his circumstances. I'm over. We're over incarcerated. We're over police. We don't have these type of privileges, or resources. Yeah. So a lot of people, and I think that plays a bigger role in me disliking him as a character than anything, was the number of people that came out and said, no, he's an anti-hero like Deadpool. No, he's my man's a villain.
He is a straight up villain, and it's like that's I guess the other side of like my point and how I like my villains. Like I like villains you can empathize with and relate to, right? But it's very clear they're villains. Like there's another villain on my list who fits into this category of, all right, I see his point, but like that's evil as hell. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I think Killmonger, I thought the film did a good job of hammering home, this guy is not a good guy. Now, if you, the audience member, didn't catch on to that, that's on you.
And I guess that's a media literacy thing.
Yeah, like, you know what I'm saying? Because like the film, what else you got to do? The guy killed his girlfriend just willy nilly, didn't think twice about it, didn't hesitate, choked out an old lady, damn near burned all of Wakanda's main resources in terms of how they get their Black Panther abilities, and was about to wage war on the rest of the world, willing to kill anybody to get what he wants, Black people included.
And another point to that is, his reason, we know why he needed Claw. He needed Claw to show him where Wakanda was, which didn't make sense to me because Wakanda wasn't hidden. People knew where Wakanda was. Yeah. So he should have been able to find Wakanda on his own. But anyway, plot hole, whatever you want to call it. And but he's telling them
well, you got to keep in mind, Claw was the only reason he was with Claw is because he wanted to get in with the Wakandans. And
he wanted
to just show up like, hey, I'm such and such. If I show up with a dead Claw, they gotta hear me.
Well, he showed up with a dead Claw. My thing is, he's telling them, hey, I want to bring justice to y'all. And I don't even think Killmonger was the best villain in that film, to be honest with you.
Don't tell me you think
Claw was a better villain in the film than him. He was a much better villain. And listen, now that I'm saying that, you want to know who's a better villain than who else? Who was second as a better villain?
Who?
Who was the husband of Okoye?
No, we're not doing that. we're not.
He was a better villain. You changed on your mans. He got away. He broke him out. He told y'all what happened. Come on, man.
I love Daniel Kaluuya, but I'm not giving his character that.
I was gonna bring him home to you, and he stole him and killed him. Where's the justice for you?
Now, granted, I like Daniel Kaluuya's character, but I'm not following you down that rabbit hole. Paul was crazy enough, but you just had to take it a step further with
I
that,
did.
'cause
I
that's
did.
crazy.
Hey, listen, that's the first time I ever said it, and I'm gonna keep doing it now. I love it. I love
I guess you know what, if you're gonna die on that hill, then die on it proudly. But just know you're gonna die on that hill. Like it's not, no one's gonna be up there with you. It's just
Hey,
you.
hey, listen, if I'm the
That's
only man, if I'm the only man up there and I gotta, stand alone, I'm gonna do it.
hey, Vito on a 1v20. All right, here we go.
That's what it is.
1v20 is what it is. But no, overall, and I'm glad we had this debate about Killmonger, because I'm sure there's other people who, and I'm glad you clarified that. Like people view Killmonger as an anti-hero, or
Yeah.
he's nowhere near a hero. Just because his message may have had
Right.
some truth in it does not mean that the person delivering the message is a good person. And I think people need to be able to realize and see through that, to understand. Like, look at his actions. Don't just hear what he's saying. Look at his actions,
Yeah.
and then tell me if those are the
Look what
actions
he's
of
doing.
someone who's a hero. Like, come on now, let's be real, y'all. But yeah, that's the reason I have Killmonger in number 3. I thought he
Okay.
was, I thought he was a very well executed character in a franchise that was lacking good villains. The MCU really got it right with him, and obviously Michael B. Jordan's performance is great. But I thought narratively, the way that character was presented and developed throughout the film, and also the relationship and the contrast he has with T'Challa, like you see,
Mm-hmm.
even though T'Challa disagrees with Killmonger, once he saw, like, some of the Wakanda ignoring the rest of the world
Right.
can produce someone like Killmonger, it showed him like maybe we need to change, the way Wakanda interacts with the world around it. So his character left a lasting impression on the hero, which is another thing that I think a good villain does as well. It can either cause the hero to, change philosophies or change the way they view things or change tactics. And I thought that, Killmonger obviously did that with T'Challa, where at the end of the film he says, Wakanda, we're willing to open our resources up to
Right.
the world.
You know what? I'm glad you picked him as a number 3, because you've made the most sense of anybody that I've had this discussion with about Killmonger.
Yeah.
And again, you said it at the beginning, why your villains are your villains.
Yeah.
And he fits in that, he captures that completely.
Yeah.
So I thank you. I appreciate you, Doug.
Yeah,
I
you
appreciate
know,
you.
it's what I'm here. I'm here to just pass
Uh,
off my opinion, and hopefully, if you agree with it, great. If you don't, whatever. But it's the best part about being a nerd and part of film culture is having these debates. So
yeah.
if I'm just that good at debating, I convinced you.
Oh, you didn't convince me, but
Oh.
I said you've had the best arguments. Not
I took it a little too far with that.
Yeah, you took it a little too far.
With the convinced you.
Yeah. So I wanted my number 3 to be Kevin Spacey in the movie Seven. It's not a comic book movie, so I'm not gonna pick it. But we're gonna have to do just villains in general.
Yeah,
because
I'm gonna let you know if we are doing villains in general. You just stole one of mine, because Seven's one of my favorite all-time movies.
Because anytime I think of a good villain, it comes back to him. So
No, he was phenomenal. That's like, we talk about a psychopath. Killmonger don't got shit on my boy Kevin Spacey in Seven.
My number 3,
Not my boy, because Kevin Spacey's got a
Yeah.
very bad history personally. I should preface that. We
Yeah,
do
yeah,
not agree with any of Kevin
at that
Spacey's
back
tactics.
then,
Yeah, we're just back then. You know what I'm saying? Kevin Spacey, phenomenal actor. Kevin Spacey today, we're not gonna speak on that.
Before I knew he wasn't such a good person.
Yeah, I had to correct my boy, because I was like, wait a minute, that's probably not someone I should be championing.
Right. That's like my boy Diddy.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I was like, actually, let me walk that one back. No, Kevin Spacey's not my boy. Continue.
I'm rethinking my entire list now, because I'm getting to this top 3 and it's so many people circling around.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if I would have actually sat down and did some reworks to my list at the time instead of going off the fly, this probably would have been my number 5, Zod from Man of Steel.
Okay.
Zod was
I'm with you.
He was Zod,
Yeah.
So again, I wasn't really a fan of the. Let me start with this. I liked Man of Steel. It was a good opening film, even if I didn't agree with the plot wholly. Superman had the core memories of his world all ingrained in him, and it, it was
It was a different take on that character.
it was all over the place.
Yeah.
Um, so I guess they just needed a reason for him to want to kill Superman, but his reasoning for wanting to kill Superman is always Superman is in my way.
Yeah.
I want to take your world and make your world my world.
And he's in my way of doing that.
You're in my way.
Mhm.
So I like Zod because Zod was just, how you say he was for his people,
Yeah.
and
Unapologetically so.
yeah, unapologetically. Before Krypton exploded, he became a war criminal because he wanted to take over, the planet's government because they were
Mhm.
weak and this and that.
Yeah.
Instead of looking at the real issues, like we do, our planet's dying,
Yeah.
and they got sent away to prison, which is crazy that you sent these people to prison and they live. Why didn't
And
y'all
you
just send
stayed.
ourselves in
Why
that?
did y'all? Oh, I was like, so they get to live, and you get to stay on the
Yeah,
planet
what?
that's
How does that
dying and
make
exploding.
sense?
I feel like they got the better end of the deal
Yeah.
here.
So when but it's crazy. Like I said, throughout the film, he didn't change.
Yeah.
Even from the opening of the film, when they finally show up, hey, I'm General so and so. We're looking for this guy. He got this long. Like, yo, they show up,
Yeah.
and when you see them, and again, a lot of people don't like that iteration of Superman because Superman killed a lot of people. All right.
Yeah.
He killed all of those Kryptonians. So,
Yeah.
it's just what it is. Superman doesn't kill. That's like Superman. Like Batman doesn't kill. Mm,
Yeah. Like,
some of his comics he's killed. He's killed. But
Yeah.
Superman doesn't kill. If Superman can save your life, he will. Superman's not purposely taking your life, which he did. Which again, arguments of the movie. But Zod, yo, I'm about to just start wrecking shit,
And you're gonna have to kill me.
And you're gonna have to. So, and I'm gonna get back around to that last scene. Even them, the Kryptonian, and let me change that to not just Zod, but the Kryptonians as a whole. Because when you see them stepping out of their ship and they see Superman doing what he's doing, they're like, yo, what? This. And then they start sensing it.
They like, all that stuff he doing, we can do it. Yeah.
And it's crazy because again they go through like the history of Superman, like a little through flashbacks, how he discovered his powers. But now we're talking about trained soldiers.
Yeah.
They became acclimated to those powers so much quicker, and everything like again, the heat vision alone was one that shouldn't be something you should just be like, oh, I can do this.
Oh, I got it.
I seen him do it. I'm sure I can do it.
I was like, oh, that's easy.
Where do you pull that from? And again, the simple fact that Zod was so steadfast in his beliefs, like he always is in almost every iteration of them. That's why he became my favorite. And I've never seen in its entirety the older Superman movies with Christopher Reeves. I've never seen them fully, so I can't say how that Zod would compare. But that's the reason that that Zod Man is still. And again, it wasn't. He was someone else that he didn't have a lot of lines, but that actor was that Michael Shannon.
Yeah,
Michael Shannon's a crazy good actor.
His delivery, man, the way he delivers lines. Yeah,
I don't
the way
think
he delivers lines is crazy.
It's almost no one. Almost no one. I'm sure it's somebody out there that could have, but it's almost no one out there. I think that could have did a better job than him as as Zod in there. And again, Michael Shannon as a villain just fits, and
he does. He's a
that
natural
role
villain.
Was one where you like shit. He's he like you said every line he drilled home. He didn't have that many lines still, but every single one you felt. And up into the end, when he said, hey, you either gonna kill me or I'm gonna keep doing this. I'm gonna, and Superman did what he did, which again, that's a problem with people have with that Superman, because again, that's not what Superman does. Superman would
He
have
was
covered
faced
his
with
eye. He would
it
have
was like he
covered
was
his.
faced with an impossible, like
It
choice at
wasn't that
that point.
impossible. Superman would have covered Zod's eyes and burned his hands and flew him off into space. And you know,
Yeah,
again, my issue. We already talked about how DC's been putting out some trash.
yeah.
The problem is they tried to rush their universe to catch up with Marvel, which is not smart. But
Hmm.
in doing so, they rushed everything. Superman should have been a little further along. He should have already known about the Phantom Zone.
Yeah,
It's a lot of things that the movies did wrong, but I
yeah,
think the thing they did right with that was Zod.
yeah. No, I actually agree. I know a lot of people kind of down talk Man of Steel, but I personally really like that movie. I like when you have characters like Superman, Batman, Spider Man, we've seen on screen so
Iconic,
much. You need to do different things with them to
something
keep them
fresh.
interesting on
Yeah,
screen. So I liked a Superman who, yes, Superman doesn't want to kill. He wants to avoid killing. But
yeah,
I like the idea of a Superman being put in a position where it's you either kill or innocent people or more innocent people are going to die if you
gonna die.
don't kill this person. You can stop them all you want. He's just going to keep killing people until you kill him. So I kind of liked the idea of seeing Superman in a situation where he has to make that impossible choice and seeing what he does with it. Now, if you're a comic book purist, you may not like it, but just and I'm not saying I want to see my Superman killing people. I don't, but I like the idea of him being put in a situation like that where it's choose your fate. Let more innocent people die, or kill this one Kryptonian who's just told you verbatim, I'm not going to stop killing people unless
Yeah,
you kill me. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, what do
like
you do with
like I
that?
said, that's one of those things where I go back and forth with though,
Yeah,
because it could have been, maybe he can not he's killing somebody, but again, an impossible situation where you can save
yeah,
this person, you can save that person.
yeah.
I think it's a lot of ways, and again, I think the film as a whole was just rushed,
Hmm.
and that again, because we would have had more behind that Superman,
Yeah.
because again, I think even at the beginning of Batman versus Superman, he kills somebody when he comes into the compound. I'm pretty sure he like punches somebody or
Yeah.
throws them into that. Like,
He killed
that,
several people in that movie.
yeah, they're
He
dead.
killed
They're not
several
coming.
people. Yeah.
So not it wasn't that. And I know we're going off a little bit. I'm gonna get back on topic with your number two, but it wasn't just that one person that he decided to
Hmm.
kill. Like
Yeah.
they made it a point to say he was killing Zod, but he
Yeah.
killed all those other Kryptonians because they never show back up. Or did they leave?
I
No, the
honestly
ship
don't.
the ship
I'm
went
trying to
down.
remember. Yeah, the
No,
ship
yeah,
went
the ship went
down.
down.
I'm trying to
So
remember what did happen to the other Kryptonians
so
at this
yeah,
point.
they made it a point to say that he killed Zod, but those other Kryptonians died. He killed those other Kryptonians, and then they made him kill people in the beginning of the next one. So it wasn't at that point. It wasn't any more impossible choices. It was,
Yeah.
oh, Lois is in trouble. Let me go. Get the fuck out.
Yeah. Lois is in trouble, so now everybody got to die. Yeah.
Jimmy's a spy. And again, I'm not a purist. I like
Hmm.
when comics branch off because if you are somebody, I'm just getting back into reading comics, but if
Hmm.
you are somebody that's into comics, they redo these stories.
Yeah. They
Infinity
changed
Gauntlet
them.
has like 4 or 5 sagas. That's the
Hmm.
same thing. They just
Yeah.
change it, and I enjoy that about comics. I got off topic for a little bit,
No,
just like the
that
Michael B.
was
Jordan thing, because I forgot to say I'm not a fan of
yeah.
Michael B. Jordan's acting and everything either. So
Okay, well
that
that's
was another
you
issue.
came in
That's
not
issue.
wanting to
I
like
did. I
Killmonger.
did. I did.
Yeah.
No. When I seen it, I was like, oh, okay. But no,
Yeah.
after that, that's when it started. So,
Okay.
so
Okay.
uh, I'm ready for your number two, man.
All
I'm
right.
sorry.
So
I know.
no,
I'm
you
sorry.
good, you're good. My number two, staying in the MCU. Y'all can call me basic or cliche for this, all y'all want. But I don't care because as a kid growing up, I played a lot of Ultimate Alliance, and I said I
Ooh.
really hope one day we get a movie where I can
Mm.
see all these characters in the same movie
I'm
at
just
the
trying to
same
think of
time.
who
And I never thought we were going to get it.
Thanos.
And then at the end of the first Avengers movie, a little purple dude turned around and smiled, and I went, "Oh, we're going to get this movie one day." And then when Avengers: Infinity War announced, and I see Doctor Strange and Iron Man and Spider Man, I'm like, "I'm finally getting my Ultimate Alliance movie, right? It's just everybody,
Okay.
everybody's here. Every character you could think of, we putting them here." And that in and of itself is good enough for me. But when you take that concept and pair it with probably the scariest villain in comic book movie history, just in terms of just sheer power,
Yeah.
then I think you get, in my opinion, what is a top three comic book film of all time is Avengers Infinity War. And I
Yeah.
think Thanos is a great villain for a lot of reasons. But one thing that's very rare that in film nowadays is if you can create the atmosphere of every time your villain is on screen, the audience feels uneasy at the
Doom.
edge of their seat. Did you feel just the hopelessness and the
Hmm.
helplessness of these characters that they just don't stand a chance against this man? That's a very rare feeling to create in any film, not just comic book movies. That's a rare feeling to create with your villain. And Infinity War executed that flawlessly with Thanos. I don't. Can you see Thanos' vision of someone who was a troubled, person growing up and had conflicts on their home world? So now they're taking their twisted ideologies from their home world and making the rest of the universe pay for it. Sure, we could go into that. To me, that's not what makes Thanos a great villain. That's part of it, but what makes him a great villain is the sheer presence he comes with and the amount of damage he does throughout that movie. From jump,
And
from
so
jump, he
that
offs
that's
two iconic characters from
that's what
jump.
I was going to say. Because again, now I 100% agree with you. Thanos
Yeah,
is probably one of the best villains as a whole. Even at the fact that throughout those movies, they keep, like you said, they hitting at him. They hitting at him.
yeah,
Hey, this, and they keep adding to it until they finally settled on Josh Brolin, who was a
yeah.
great choice.
Phenomenal
Um,
choice. Phenomenal
my only
choice.
issue with that character was the whole his reasoning for doing things. Was the whole
It was a little
now
flawed,
it was very
but
flawed. But I like I
really,
said, he was a great character.
yeah,
I feel like they could have gave him a better reason. There's been better reasons in the comics, but
yeah.
like you said, the sheer after that first scene, because if you
You
don't know
knew it's
Thanos,
over with.
if you don't read comics or you don't watch the cartoons,
Yeah,
you don't know how strong Thanos is. So when the opening, Thor is on his last leg and
and
Loki's
Hulk
on
gets
his last
manhandled.
leg, and he just annihilates the Hulk. Like he completely destroys the Hulk, where the Hulk is no longer a
Handed the Hulk
thing.
his ass, and that
You know,
man
we
didn't. That man didn't want to come out for the rest of the movie. When you
we
that boy made Hulk
he
not
hasn't
want to
come
come
out for
back
the
and
rest of
fight
the
no more.
series. We
We haven't seen
have
that Hulk
not
since
seen the Hulk
since then.
since it's Professor Green or whatever Bruce Banner Hulk
We're not
hybrid
counting
is.
that. Yeah, we're
That's
not counting
that's
that.
that's who we see now. We
Yeah.
don't see that he did that much damage to that Hulk. And again, when you look back at the past films of the Hulk fighting people, even in the
Hmm.
the movies with the Hulk,
Hmm.
he's gotten his ass beat before. But what
Not like
Thanos
that.
did to him,
Not
and
like that.
he started the Hulk come out, he's
I got my few
and
hits in, and then it was
my
like Thanos
man's
was
just
like,
he weave out the way,
it almost felt like
and
Thanos was playing with him. Like he let him get a few
yeah.
hits in, and he was like, oh,
And
you think you
then
got a shot here? Watch
it
this.
just went bad,
Yeah,
it went bad. And
yeah.
again, like you said, so he's already, annihilated two of the strongest Avengers
Off rip.
within 10 minutes of the film.
Like off rip. Opening scene.
And
Thor and
then
Hulk. Thor and Hulk defeated. Opening scene.
he went back to doing what he do is
Yeah,
sit back and chill.
yeah,
He sent
yeah,
his kids to Earth to get the stones, and he went to Titan for some reason.
yeah. I
I
think,
don't know
or he
why.
went to nowhere first, and then he went to Titan.
Right.
Yeah,
But like you said, every time it's just like, yo, like even when
you
he
felt
met
every
up,
time he was on screen, you felt uneasy
even
every single
when
time.
he was on screen on Nowhere with the Guardians,
Yep.
and that scene happened, and it was just like, okay, did they just kill him? You're like,
Yeah,
yeah. So who's the real villain?
yeah.
And he comes back. He's like, nah, Jk, LOL. You know,
Y'all thought y'all did something.
no, I didn't like the way that he used that stone in that scene where he turned
He was a little
Drax
goofy.
into it was a little
He was a
goofy.
little goofy.
It
Yeah,
kind of it kind of took away from how serious that film was,
yeah.
because and throughout the rest of the films, it was kind of goofy.
Hmm.
Even in Civil War, it was a lot of like goofy shit happening with Ant Man
Yeah.
and Spider Man.
Mhm.
But all that seriousness or all that goofiness that they had in the first few Avengers films and Marvel
They toned it
MCU
down for
movies,
this one.
it went down completely.
They
And
toned it down
again,
for Infinity
it
War for sure.
fits
Yeah,
with Thanos being that guy because it's not a joke anymore.
it
It's
ain't. I'm
there's
here to
nothing.
I'm here to end half the universe's population. What you
This is
gonna
a
do about it?
force that we
Yeah,
can not play with. Like even
yeah,
what's his name? Star Lord. Even Star Lord was not joking in that point.
yeah,
So
yeah.
like you said, he was a problem every time he was on film.
Every
It wasn't
time.
a he lost the fight and he ran up
Hmm.
until the end of the movie, but up until the end of the movie, everywhere he showed up, he wrecked shit.
Yeah, yeah. He's and to your point about Josh Brolin, that was perfect casting because Josh Brolin has this ability to just be like just very calm. Like Thanos throughout his film, you've never really heard Thanos raise his voice. You ain't see him just get overly animated. He's just talking to you, like how I'm
Infinity
talking
War,
to you.
Infinity War,
Infinity War,
Endgame
yeah.
kind of.
In game, he kind of went there a little bit, but that was also in game was also a younger Thanos. Like that was the
Right,
Thanos from
right,
the
right, right,
past
right.
too. You know what I'm saying? This is the seasoned Thanos. I've been building up to this point.
It
I'm
was a
finally
Thanos.
collecting all my.
Well, you know what? Because it was a Thanos before all the losses. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
so he don't. So it's kind of crazy. So I guess this Thanos, or Infinity War Thanos. I'm trying to think why he would be that calm. Like he
He was just
planned, so
very
he
he
know
like literally like he's playing. Like it's like
he's playing, so he
I'm
knows.
approaching this so calm because I
Yeah,
know you all can't beat me.
yeah.
I
I
know
planned. Even my
yeah.
my first plan didn't work out, but
Hmm.
this one, nothing you could do for it. Nothing you could
Nothing
do.
you can do for it.
Okay,
We
you
I'm
got
not sending Loki and the Chitari no more. You got to deal with me directly.
good point. Good point. Good point. Good point.
Yeah,
Good
and
point.
he like there's just very few, if any, situations in comic book movies I can think of where the villain was able to create that level of just sheer helplessness amongst the audience. Like I still remember the vibe in my theater when I went to go see Infinity War.
Okay.
You felt like a tone change in the entire auditorium every time Thanos was on screen.
Yeah.
That's very rare that a character can create that atmosphere for a film. And then just of course he won. Like
Yeah.
just that in of itself is like comic book villains don't. He won. That was I still contend he's the main character in that movie. Like Avengers: Infinity War is Thanos' story. I contend like that Thanos is the main character in that movie.
You know what? I think it would have been dope if they would have made him like honestly like
More of the
Thanos
central
is
character.
yeah like
Yeah.
Thanos is the focus of this movie, and
So
they
I'm
kind
gonna
of
get
put
off
the
topic a
Avengers to
little
the
bit.
back end.
Yeah, I'm not just very briefly because to your point, that was more of the original plan. In earlier drafts of the script for Infinity War, Thanos was supposed to have a much more detailed story arc. Not
Right.
that he didn't have a detailed one in the finished product, but
But
like
he
you were
wasn't.
supposed to.
He's not the main character though. Like
Yeah, it was
he's
supposed
that.
to be a lot more clear in
Yeah.
previous drafts of the script. Like this is Thanos' story. Like, it was supposed to be much more clear. Like I think the scene of him going to the scene of him going to get the Power Stone because in the final cut he already had it at the beginning of the film, but they show the scene of him destroying Sandar and getting the Power Stone. There's
Okay.
scenes of him on Titan. Like it shows a lot more of his backstory and how he got to this point. There was one point I wanted to touch on, then I'll let you get to your number two. Um, you mentioned what did you say? It was a point you had mentioned I wanted to touch on. Oh,
About
his
Thanos.
reasoning. Yeah, his
Okay.
reasoning. You said his reasoning wasn't good. And I agree only because I, as a someone who's knowledgeable about comics, I know what his original reasoning was in the
Hmm.
comics. So comparing it to that, no, it's not as good as that. That being said, for the purposes of this universe and what you're trying to do, introducing Lady Death would have been a lot. That would have been a lot.
It,
You're already dealing with the film where you have to juggle all the Avengers characters you introduced from Phase One up till now. That in and of itself makes the movie crowded.
yeah.
Then you have to introduce the audience to Thanos in a way that makes him very menacing and gives him the credit he deserves as the head honcho of Marvel villains. Having him like basically simp over death and say I'm gonna kill as many people as I can because I love you. It takes away on screen. I feel like that takes away a bit. It takes away from his character a little bit. It works in the comics, but not everything that works on page is gonna work on screen. Not to
So
say they couldn't have found another reason, but I
yeah,
don't know if
and
they should have adapted that.
no. I'm 100% fine with that. I'm
Yeah.
100% fine with that. So for the people that don't know that's gonna hear this or see this,
Yeah.
Thanos' reason in the films to want to kill everybody is he's in love with death. He's in love with
In the
the
comics, you mean?
embodiment of death. The
Yeah.
personification of death is a
Yeah.
real person. It is a female. He's in love with her, and so him killing a bunch of people is a act of love for him. He's love bombing death, all right, with
Yeah.
murder. So this is my issue in the film. Just create more resources, my dog.
Yeah.
And I think, and again, they could have done that easily, where he did what he did, where they could have said, okay, well, the Infinity Stones only exist with what's there. You
Hmm.
can't create, but you can destroy. You can
Yeah.
manipulate. You can change. That
Hmm.
wasn't done. They didn't
Yeah.
explain that. They didn't explain how because again, the stones in the movie don't work like the stones in comic
In the
and
comics,
cartoons.
yeah.
So explaining it, which could have took 3-4 minutes, less than that. Like I said, they could have done anything. So it's one of those things that I'm sure it became an afterthought, and now when you're watching it back, you're like, wait, why he do that?
Hmm.
Because if you're taking away, you're killing half of life in a universe. What do you consider life?
Yeah.
Or if we're going off of what life is, you're killing planets. The biggest thing, you're killing universes, solar
Hmm.
systems. You're killing you're killing sentient beings,
Hmm.
but even within those sentient beings, you're killing plants, you're killing animals. So
Yeah.
you're killing the resources that you are
That
trying to
those living
save.
beings would need. Yeah.
Yeah, so even killing half, it's like, okay, well, what half died?
Yeah.
And that's something else they don't really touch on in Endgame. Which again, Infinity War, amazing.
Hmm.
Endgame, little less, but still good.
Yeah, I think
But
Infinity War is better.
they like I said, they don't explain that. So again, and what's half? Is it half of just overall, or okay, half of this planet, half of this
Yeah.
planet, half of this
Yeah.
planet? How is that
How does
determined?
it
And then if
distribute?
it
Yeah.
okay, half of this species, half of this species, half of so and that's just one of those things that like I said, it could have just been better
Yeah.
explained,
Yeah.
or a different reason. But again, I agree with most of your reasons. Like I said, he was a force every
Oh,
time he was on scene,
yes. Yes.
and his lines. Again, I'm noticing a trend where um
Line delivery is key.
the line delivery is key, but they don't have a lot of lines. They're not giving these
Yeah.
villains a lot of lines, and I
Yeah.
think if he would have
But
had,
they're
like I said,
impactful when they do speak.
they are, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, and that's why my number two, which again, I'm gonna have to sit down and actually make a list,
Hmm.
because I'm going back and forth between a bunch of different people, and my number one is between two different people.
Okay.
So for this one, I really wanted it to be, because when you said something, you said Thanos won. There's one other person in the MCU that won.
One other person in the MCU who won.
Baron Zemo.
Ah,
Now,
no.
did he not win? He
He accomplished what he
he
wanted to
did
accomplish.
exactly
Yes,
what he wanted to do.
he
Now
did
that's not.
exactly what he wanted to accomplish.
Now he's not my favorite.
Yeah,
I did want him on that list for that reason.
yeah. He
I
did.
was
He did accomplish his goal. That is
He
true. That's
accomplished his
rare for
goal.
a villain to do. He accomplished
I
his goal.
I really wanted it to be Ultron, because Ultron was another force to
Ultron damn
be
near
reckoned
is a
with.
good villain. It's just the movie he was in. But Ultron was a great villain.
He was a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah.
But what's his name? Oh my God, why am I forgetting his name? The guy that plays Ultron, James Spader.
James Spader.
Dude, um, he's another guy that. Have you ever seen a Blacklist?
I've seen a few episodes of it. I haven't watched it in depth.
He's a great villain in whatever he's in. Obviously,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
just off of those two pieces of work. But I settled down to the Green Goblin.
Great choice. Great
And
choice.
I'm going to say over, the two films. So from the first
So the first one
Spider-Man,
and No Way Home.
No Way Home. Yeah.
Yep.
No, I think and it shows progression of him.
Hmm.
Even it shows his
Yeah.
devolving mental state. Because in the first one, he was able, he killed all these people soon as this happened, and he was kind of going back and forth. And
Yeah.
then his whole thing was about revenge. I don't like these people because they wouldn't let me do this. And now it's shit. I want to kill Spider Man because he won't let me kill the people I want to kill.
Yeah.
you know, and like we said it about Doc Ock.
God.
He's
Or
he's
yeah,
doing
Doc Ock.
this
Yeah.
he's doing this talking back and forth, and then somebody be like, "You say something?" He's like, "Oh no, 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 I'm just tired."
Hmm.
And he played it off very well.
Yeah. Yeah.
But and again, great villain. And then you look back at No Way Home, how he's playing it, and he comes and he's
Hmm.
like, oh, I know Spider Man here.
Hmm.
He here somewhere,
Yeah.
but let me play this cool. So the Goblin, the Goblin would took a back seat for Norman to
Hmm.
get close to Spider Man. This ain't
And the
this ain't
goblin
my
came right back out.
this ain't my Peter Parker, but I'm gonna still kill him.
Yeah.
So
Just cause y'all got the same
just
name.
yeah. So again, I like because again, you like villains where you can see yourself in them a little bit.
Hmm.
I like villains where it's like, no, this motherfucker is evil.
Hmm.
There's no good in him at all.
Yeah.
Because because there are people like that.
Like that.
And
Yeah.
the Green Goblin is one of those people. Not Norman Osborn. The
The Green
Green
Goblin,
Goblin.
absolutely.
The Green Goblin is one of those people. And Norman tries his best and fails at keeping the Green Goblin in check.
Yeah.
And then with No Way Home, you really see the power that the Green Goblin has, and it,
Yeah.
it really pushes the point home that he was making a super serum for super soldier serum
Yeah.
because he picked them up and power bound them through what two
Through
three
like three
floors,
three
you
floors.
know. And in the first Spider-Man movie, he's punching on Peter in it,
Uh-huh.
but they really don't do a good enough job of even showing how strong
Yeah.
Peter is in that first Spider-Man movie.
Yeah.
You really don't get a glimpse of how strong he is until he's pulling that train in Spider-Man
Uh-huh.
2.
Yeah.
So you don't see his power level in that first one.
Yeah. Not
But
not not to its fullest extent. No.
yeah, so I mean Goblin, Green Goblin, you don't
Yeah.
see his
Yeah.
power
Yeah.
level.
Yeah.
He's using so much of his gadgets,
Yeah.
his glider, his bombs, his little spinning
Yeah.
things, his little batarangs,
Yeah.
and in this one you really, like I said, in that scene where it clicks, and it's crazy. That's probably one of my favorite scenes in all of the MCU. Is when he's working on Electro, right? And
Yeah.
that's when
Yeah.
his senses start going on. He's
You're like, hold
like,
on, something ain't
"Oh,
right.
something's not right." And again, so that did two things for me. It showed you, again, the Goblin was gone up
Hmm.
into that point,
Hmm.
and it showed the strength of his spider senses in that way.
Yeah. Because he was able to
Because
detect the
yeah,
goblin that came out. Yeah.
he detected his intent.
Yeah.
So that was
Literally. That's why I was like, dang. Okay, I know the
so
spider sense works like that.
so that was a crazy part of it. But again, just the sheer power and how insane he was, and how he immediately was able to convince all the other villains
Like,
to
hey,
work
fuck your Spider
together.
Man, dude. Like, y'all need to come work
And
for me.
I don't know what their goal was. They just wanted to stay there and try and take over the world.
Stay there and not go back to their universe and
But
die, I guess.
they were gonna have so many more problems because the Avengers are there, and
Yeah. Yeah,
which
y'all might as well go back and deal with that one Spider Man y'all had to deal
so
with versus all the
so
heroes that are here.
that was my thing with him. He again, so because again, in the first Spider-Man, he's telling you, hey, we've been working on this formula, meaning Oscorp, his corporation.
Hmm.
Look, the head scientist was telling him like, no, that ain't smart. So it gives you an impression that they were making these things,
Yeah.
But again, when you come back to No Way Home, and he's saying using all these scientific words, and he's saying all these things. So not only are you getting a sense of the sheer power of the Green Goblin, but he's intelligent as well. You know,
Yeah.
so I think that really made it full circle and closed it in for me. Now, if I don't think if that No Way Home was there, I don't think he would have made it to number two. He would have been in my. I think he would have been in my top five, but he wouldn't have been number two.
Yeah, No Way Home did a lot for the character of Green Goblin in terms of helping him grow and develop, and being able to see like a different side to that character a little
And
bit,
all the
especially in
villains
terms of his
really.
strength. Yeah, all of
Yeah,
the villains really, but Green
but yeah,
Goblin was like
Goblin.
he was the main villain
Right,
in
right,
that
right.
film. Like it was very clear that he was the main, the main antagonist. I thought the way they handled him was very well. Well, folks, we got to the best part, our number one picks. Kind of like my number two pick. People may say I'm cliche or basic, but the truth is the truth, people. The truth is just the truth. And I personally have never seen a better comic book portrayal of any villain on screen other than what Heath Ledger did in The Dark Knight. I personally haven't seen it.
You know what?
If you can point me to a better on-screen performance
No,
in
I'm
a
not. I'm not.
comic
I'm
book
not
film,
talking shit. Because
please
that
find it because
he
I
was
don't know what it is.
he's neck and neck with my other number one.
Yeah.
So because he's your number,
I made your choice
your number
easy.
one, you made it easy.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
go ahead because, like you
yeah.
said, he is hands down.
Phenomenal, hands
And
down.
that was same thing with Iron Man and
Mhm.
a lot of these actors. When you see them, you're like, And I think Heath Ledger had just came off of Brokeback Mountain, and he did
When did that movie come out? Did Dark Knight came out in 2008? That might have been his most recent one before that. I don't remember. This a
I think
while
that was
ago.
like his last big film.
Hmm.
And again, so as a I still haven't seen Brokeback Mountain, and especially
I
when I was
haven't
a
either.
kid, I'm like,
Yeah,
yeah, I'm not watching that shit,
yeah,
So
yeah. No, it
so
wasn't on my watch list either.
coming off of that, you like, ain't
No,
this just the
there
dude
was a
that was
lot
in
of there
that
was a
was in
lot of
that?
backlash to Heath Ledger when he got cast as Joker. People
Yeah,
were like, "Who? like,
so
who's playing the Joker?"
Brokeback Mountain came out in 2005,
Okay,
and then what was that? The Dark Knight.
yeah. Dark Knight was 2008, right?
Yep, 2008. So yeah, so a few years after that, so I was like, yeah, whatever. I like Batman. I'm gonna see it anyway.
Yeah, like
And
I don't
like you
think anyone
said,
anticipated that performance he gave. I don't think anyone
delivered,
anticipated it.
delivered.
It's like, and to your point of the type of villains you like, right? You said you like your villains, no redeemable qualities, just straight up terrible
Straight
people,
up terrible.
and you can do that very well. Like I don't think. To preface, I don't think the only way to make a good villain is to have him
Right, right,
relate to
right,
the
right.
audience. You can have a purely psychotic villain, but he needs to be layered. It can't just be I'm evil. You know what I'm saying? There has to
And,
be more to it.
and
And that Joker character was so psychotic,
but
like so unhinged that
to
it
your
worked
layered point
perfectly.
there, they don't explain how Joker came to be in that
I'm
film.
glad they didn't
He
though.
just
I'm glad they didn't.
he just is.
Yeah.
And so every time, and again, like we said before, the dialogue portion, every line he delivered, I quote the Joker
So many times. I quote
randomly
so
throughout the
bro, that is the
day,
most quotable villain ever, bro.
and
That is the most
every
quotable comic
time
book villain ever.
he told somebody, "Do you know how I got these scars?" And the story changed every single
Every
time.
time.
Every time it changed. So to that layer point, you're like, shit, how did he get these scars?
He's a character shrouded in mystery, and I thought the perfect encapsulation of that character was a line that Alfred delivered when he was talking to Bruce about him.
Oh, the
Um,
burning something
he
down, the
said he
burning
was talking
forest.
about he said he said like they were on an excursion somewhere and there
Trying to
was
catch
people
the
like
burglars.
stealing. He was trying to catch some burglars and they were stealing, but after they stole them, they would find the rubies laying somewhere, and it's like, why steal them if you weren't going to sell them or do anything with them? And he's like, some men, they aren't after money, they aren't
hmm
after power, they can't be reasoned with, they can't be negotiated with. They are some men that just want to watch the world burn. And that to me was the perfect explanation and setup
For the
for how
Joker.
that character is and what he is in that movie. I'm not in this for no power. I'm not in this to money. I'm not in this to. I'm blowing shit up and killing people because it's fun.
You know,
I just
it
want to
looks
watch the world burn.
when
And
he
to
was
me,
in the
that's what
police
made that
station.
character so scary.
When he was in the police station, this is a line that I quote a lot. He said, I don't know, he said,
Yeah.
what did he say? He said, I'm like a dog with a car.
Car.
When I
I don't
catch
even know
it,
what to
what
do
am
if
I
I
gonna
caught
do?
it. Yeah.
And like you said, like from again, opening scene of that movie, when they're robbing that bank, everybody's in masks, and he kills the last person. No. I'm supposed to shoot the bus driver.
Yeah.
And he like, he
What bus
starts
driver?
edging over,
He started leaning over a little
the
bit.
bus comes through, and then he goes back for the bank manager.
Yeah.
And he has the big reveal.
Yeah.
So it has him stealing the money. So you're like, oh yeah, the Joker, he just wanted this money so he could do whatever fuck crazy shit he
Didn't
wanted
care
to do.
about the money at all.
Then the scene that comes in, first he comes in with that pencil. Another scene that's just what?
Iconic.
Like
I want to make this pencil disappear.
So and again, kind of like the Jack Nicholson's Joker, where it was so much joy in what he did.
Yeah.
But with his joy, you seen it. He had little skips, hops and skips.
Man, he was blowing up hospitals. He was having a good old time. He was enjoying himself.
Every time he did something, he enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Now, again, like I said, it's different in the way that it was doing it, because, like you said, the things he was doing. I mean, in both of them, it was psychotic, but the Dark Knight was darker. Like the not only the environment, but like the mood was darker. You had, when you look at the I want to say 94, that was the old Batman was 94 with that Joker. 94, 96 was one of them.
I think it was. You talking about the one with Jack Nicholson?
Yeah.
I want to say 1989. I don't know why that's the year I have in my head.
Batman. I think you're right. I think it was 89.
I do this, man. No, I'm just
playing. That was Michael Keaton, right?
Yeah, that was Michael Keaton.
So I think it was 89 because Returns was in 92.
Yeah.
But the city was in fear in both of them.
Yeah.
But in this one, it really, especially at that ferry scene, it really showed how much in fear like they were. And again, if they would have did it, they would have pulled it for the other boat. They would have killed themselves. And it's just how does his mind work? And it's easy, kind of how does this mind work? But like with that one, with that Joker, it was just so much, like you said, it was shrouded in so much mystery. But even when they were doing, again, it showed something else that, the Joker's intelligent now. Back in the day, he wasn't intelligent. He was just devious. Now he's a criminal mastermind. It's showing you how he's a criminal mastermind. When Batman did that with the bullets and he pulled the bullet fragments out and pieced them back together to get the fingerprint, and then it showed up to one of the cops. And like their badge name, and it's like, what? Like
you thought this through.
Yeah, like you thought this through before you did it. So, so when we're seeing it, you're just seeing it happen. But, it's so much behind it. Even when he took Rachel and Harvey. And that's more like
that was a calculated move too.
That's more like the scene that I think Superman should have had.
Like a choice like that.
Yeah, not to kill somebody, But because that was again, it was who can you get to?
Yeah.
He got to Harvey.
And the person you got to ended up kind of being compromised anyway.
Yeah. So, and that kind of, I think, Heath Ledger dying kind of put a dent in their plans for that third movie.
Yeah. I know he was supposed to be in there.
They threw a wrench in there. But that played a part on his psyche because Rachel's dead.
Yeah.
Harvey's dead at this point because I'm still trying to figure out how he died from that fall. That was so like.
Yeah, that fall wasn't. I was looking at that. I was like, would that fall really kill someone?
Pisses me off.
I was like, you know what, Christopher Nolan, the rest of this movie is masterful. So I'm gonna let you get that one off. I'm
but
let
like
you have that one.
everything he did, like you said, was calculated, and
Yeah.
with that choice, it was. I don't know how he knew where were they at the police station when they got the call?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, because how did
Because
that?
that's when he was like beating him up, and he was like he gave him the addresses of
Oh,
where they
yep,
were
yep,
both
yep, yep.
at.
And
Yep.
somebody went. Okay, okay.
Yep.
And it's just like I said, he went this way. Officers went this way, and he got Harvey out. Yeah, he got Harvey out.
Harvey
And
out. Yeah.
who did he send for? Did he send Gordon for
Gordon
Rachel?
or Rachel, but by the time they got there, it blew up.
And again, and it's a movie. That's a plot
Yeah.
armor because
Mm-hmm.
how the hell Batman get there first? That tank should not.
Because he's
that
Batman.
tank should not be going that fast.
Man, the tumbler can move now. Put some
It
respect on
shouldn't.
put some respect on the tumbler now. Put some
Listen,
respect on it.
because
That
it
boy
got
can move.
a jet engine in it, I guess, but
Yeah.
he can't control that thing. But again, even when he caught the Joker,
Mm-hmm.
that whole thing, when they roll up on the side,
Yep.
they want to hit, and they roll up in that semi truck opening, and he's like, dude, and he's like, the cop's like, where
Is that
you
a
get a
bazooka?
rocket launcher? Where you get a
Is
bazooka
that
from?
a bazooka?
So it's even saying like, Gotham's crazy. We know Gotham's
Yeah.
crazy. We
Yeah.
we know the criminals was doing what they was doing in the first one when they was
Mm-hmm.
walking around freely doing their thing. But now it's really insane.
It's like becoming unhinged now.
Where did he get a bazooka from? Why
Yeah.
does he have a bazooka?
On a residential city street.
Right. So when when it gets to that final part of that scene and Batman's coming at him, he's like, come on, hit me. Because
Yeah.
again, he wants Batman to kill him.
Yeah.
He wants Batman to do what he doesn't think Batman will do.
Mm-hmm.
Because he said it, he said, I don't want to know who Batman is. At this point, it's just this is part of me. I'm having fun.
Yeah.
And that's why I love that Joker.
Yeah.
I took over your number one a little bit, but
No, but that's like you made a lot of very solid points. Like he is by far the most unhinged, like as far as the performance, most
Yeah.
unhinged comic book film we got, a comic book villain we got. And Heath Ledger's performance only adds to it because he makes it so convincing. And you kind of see like the level of just psychoticness he's willing to go to. There's no low he's not willing to go to in that film. And he really creates this sense of fear throughout like the entire city of Gotham. Like the entire city of Gotham, like the feeling of the city is like it's almost on hold while you're.
It's shut down.
He damn near shut the city down. Like
they were evacuating. They were sending the school kids out of the city.
Like he caused some damage in that film, and he really changed the entire. He made Batman go into hiding. Like he corrupted he corrupted Harvey Dent. Like he just did so much to set Gotham on a negative trajectory, which fed into The Dark Knight Rises. Like part of the reason The Dark Knight Rises worked and Bane was able to come in and do what he did was because of how the Joker sent that city into just complete turmoil and chaos.
And that's another issue I have with the Dark Knight, though, as the death of Harvey Dent.
Yeah,
the death of Harvey Dent was one of the stupidest things Christopher Nolan could have done. Especially when, like you said, when you have the unfortunate situation with Heath Ledger, you have somebody come back. And I'm glad you brought up The Dark Knight Rises because that's my number one.
I had a feeling it was.
That's not why I wore the shirt. I was gonna joke and say it's Jim Carrey as the Riddler.
I would have shut the episode down.
I'm just kidding.
I was like, I love Jim Carrey, but no.
But no, it's Bane, and for the longest, I hated that Bane. I hated the Bane.
Really? Was it the accent?
It was everything. The accent. It was Tom Hardy. Tom Hardy's a big guy, but he's a small guy.
Compared to
what Bane is
supposed to look. Yeah.
But again, they tried to root it in a little reality, and it fit because not only is Bane is just powerhouse of strength, he's fast as shit.
Yeah.
All right. Now, again, I said I'm not a purist. I like when comics go off book. Bane is one of those characters where he just changes because when Bane first came out, he was just some dude stealing stuff and getting high on venom. And then now, even in the comics, he's I don't know if you've read some of these later issues, but Bane's Portuguese or Brazilian or something like that.
That's new. Okay.
He's Hispanic or Latin. I can't remember which
Uh-huh.
one he is, but
Uh-huh.
he comes from this country and he's doing this and this. But even in this movie, and they're saying, okay, well, this is how Bane came to be.
Yeah.
He's 92. I'm sorry, the Batman movie was with Jack Nicholson was 92.
Okay.
That's not right either. Anyway, it's still up on my phone. It was going off in the background. Um, yeah, so his lines, and we talked about this after the first episode.
Yeah.
His again lines and delivery. He has. I want to say he has the least amount of lines out of everybody we've talked about, but everyone was powerful. Like,
Yeah.
and I mean everything he said. Like that. The first from the plane ride. Who shoots a man and throws him out of a plane? Or when he's talking to Docket, I think his name is, and he puts his hand on his shoulders like,
Put it
"Do you
on the
feel
shoulder.
in control?"
Do you feel like
And
you're in charge?
he didn't do anything. He
Yeah.
he barely touched him, and with everything that was going on, you get it. You get the feeling. You
Yeah.
feel it like, yo,
You might want to leave this boy alone.
Bane
I don't think he
is
here to play.
yeah, Bane is he that deal.
Yeah.
Now, I wasn't a fan of the whole Legion of Shadows thing, but it
Yeah.
fit.
Talia was not.
No, they could have
Talia
left
was not
her.
a necessary. Yeah, she was not a necessary character.
But
She did
again,
not need to be
Bane's
there.
not and Bane could be. Bane is a Batman villain, but and the simple fact, him breaking Batman's back in there,
That's my favorite scene.
it's a
You
thing
merely
that
adopted
happens.
the dark. I was born in it,
Dude,
man.
that
I love
scene
that
alone.
scene.
So even when I hated him as Bane,
Hmm.
that scene was it's crazy. Because
Yeah,
again,
no,
he's up until this point, we just seen Batman,
mhm.
fight, and for the most part, he done won all his fights.
And I think that's the best fight scene that we've gotten out of all the Christopher Nolan Batman films. Because as much as I love Christian Bale as Batman, that's the Batman I grew up with. The one drawback you could say about his characters, his fight scenes were kind of weak.
Yeah,
Christian Bale was not good with action
I
scenes
mean,
in that.
especially when you looking at what we have now
Now,
as
like after
compared
seeing
to
Ben Affleck, I was like, okay, this confirms how I felt about Christian Bale. So at first,
like
I'm like, maybe I'm just tripping. But once I saw that Ben Affleck scene in Batman vs Superman, I was like, all right, this movie's terrible. But
he's
this
terrible.
this fight scene right here in the warehouse, I'm like, this is what a Batman fight scene is supposed
Oh,
to
I
look
was
like.
even before that when they
Yeah.
was looking for him at the beginning, and
Hmm.
he looked back and he's sitting in the rafters.
Man, what?
Yo,
Yeah,
and,
that
and, and
was.
again he jumped. He was literally disappearing. So
Hmm.
you seen, so again, they can't really show him disappearing like they would in a cartoon or a comic,
Yeah.
but like you see his silhouette flying away and coming
Hmm.
down fast. Whereas in the Dark Knight and the no Christopher Nolan Batmans, they cut the camera angle and then he cut
Yeah.
back and he's gone.
Gone. Yeah.
So like you said, so to your point where the fighting was so much better, but with that one, Batman couldn't do all his couldn't do no flips
Yeah.
because Bane was so strong. Like your light kick wasn't gonna do nothing
He
for him.
wasn't gonna do nothing to that man.
So you relying on that technique that he knows, and he
Yeah.
said, when he threw out the little flash pellets, he's what he say something like deception, the tools of our craft or tools of our trade, like that. And he basically tell him like, yeah, that would work if I wasn't also in the League
Yeah.
of Shadows.
Hmm. Like
And
you thought I didn't know these tricks, huh?
yeah, you thought I didn't. And that's where he's finding out. He's like, oh shit,
Like this
I'm not
ain't
getting out
this.
of this.
Yeah, like this is a different level of opponent than what I faced before. Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
again, I think I don't like that they had him as a secondary villain because technically,
Eh, I wouldn't
te-
say he was a secondary villain. Talia took
they were
over
like
towards the end.
co-villains, but
Talia didn't take over till like the end of the third
yeah,
act, though.
she
So
was
it's
like
like,
the mastermind of it.
yeah, like she was
But
revealed as a mastermind, but the villain of the movie is Bane.
this why I wasn't a fan of that because the whole her because it worked. What they set out to do worked.
Uh-huh,
They got rid of Batman. They got rid
uh-huh,
of Bruce Wayne.
uh-huh,
Now they didn't kill him. He saved Gotham and left.
uh-huh. Yeah.
He left, and that's again. So they won. Now I mean, we know at this point he's never coming back.
Yeah.
Um, but in that universe, there's always a possibility of Bruce Wayne, Batman coming back, and I think it would have been dope too because he ain't got no money or he don't have as much money as he
Now
should have,
you got to restart from scratch.
which has
Yeah.
happened in the comics. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, Bane was just, dude, I like we've been saying it almost to every villain, like no lines, powerful, but
Hmm.
Bane's for me was just
Very memorable. Yeah. He had a
dude
lot of quotables. He had a lot of quotables.
fire. Like I said, the only reason I don't even again I quoted throughout the day randomly,
Hmm.
and that like you said, you only adopted the darkness. I was born in it, molded by it, and he's telling them like these things that you use to fight evil because the
Hmm.
League of Assassins is not evil. you know no they
Debatable.
don't think they're evil.
Most villains
they,
don't think they're
no
evil.
they
Thanos
they
didn't think he was evil.
they're trying to save the world by getting
Yeah.
rid of all the crime in Gotham.
Yeah.
But by doing so they're killing everybody in there.
By
So
killing innocent people in the process.
so
Can't have no crime if everybody's gone.
they it's just like I said, that and Bane again, they made him super intelligent and smart.
Hmm.
Whereas when you look back at that old Batman movie,
You're
he
not.
was
You talking about Batman and Robin?
you look at
Yeah.
Batman and Robin,
He
he
was
was
a
an
brute.
idiot. Yeah,
Yeah, he was just a
he was an
brute.
idiot.
Yeah.
He was just
Yeah.
some dude,
Hmm.
and that Poison Ivy put the Venom formula on. So
Yeah. I like the way they portrayed Bane in that. I thought that was one of the more like, especially the way Tom Hardy portrayed it. I thought he was back to kind of the Thanos point. He had a presence every time he was on screen.
yeah,
Not necessarily to the degree Thanos did,
yeah,
but you felt every time he was on screen, you felt it. And I thought his villain was very impactful, like throughout the course of that film and how it progressed, and also just as a worthy adversary to Batman. Like Batman really didn't win a fight against him until like the very, very end.
and he
You know what
cheated.
I'm saying? And he cheated. You know what I'm saying?
He shot him. He killed
So
somebody.
yeah, like he had to cheat to beat him at the end. So like his square hand to hand combat, he didn't beat Bane at all really throughout that film. So
And you shot that man with a cannon.
yeah, you had
But
to you had to
Batman
get
doesn't
back up.
kill.
You had to
Come
get back
on.
up. You know what I'm saying? So it was a little different.
And
But no, those are some great lists. I think we both presented. Like
well, before we close it out, you said like I said, every time he came on film on a every time he was on camera, he
yeah,
made a presence.
mm,
So honorable mention to the one when they were raiding the Wall Street place,
mm.
and the guy says, "There ain't no money here." He said, "Well, why are you here?"
Why are you here?
I'm like, damn, yo, what?
Really? Why are you
What?
people here?
So then, the film when he walks out onto the football field, man,
Hmm.
and,
Oh man, when
and
he
that
killed all
trench
the
coat,
Pittsburgh Steelers, when he killed the whole Pittsburgh Steelers roster.
and my man's, like I said, so you don't know what's gonna happen, and then it just,
Yeah,
hey,
just plump. It's still surreal to see Ben Roethlisberger in a Batman movie, though. That's still crazy. But no, that though. There's a lot of iconic scenes in that film, and you did say honorable mention. I do want to give at least one honorable mention because when I was putting this list together, there are obviously a lot of other villains I wanted to include that weren't able to make the list. But I do want to give like credit where credit is due to Ra's al Ghul in Batman Begins. And the reason I'm going to say that is because I thought Liam Neeson's performance was very spot on for that character. I thought he did a really good job. I thought he was like I thought portrayed the character of Ra's al Ghul in a very good way in a grounded film, right? And there's another honorable mention, another Batman villain, the Riddler in the Batman.
Oh, okay. I thought you.
Yeah, no,
I thought you were talking about Jim Carrey.
Not Jim Carrey. No. I see. No, but Paul Dano's Riddler.
No, it was.
That was a great film.
So again, iterations of comics are different, and that's why I love. I love that film actually. It shows the beginnings of Batman, and it shows what Batman is. Batman, or it tried to. Batman is a detective. All right.
Yeah.
He's the world's greatest detective, and the DC one of the world's greatest detectives in comic books or DC universe, and it really showed the Riddler going in on him. Now, like you said, great honorable mention. It's just I would have liked to see more of them.
Of the Riddler.
Of the Riddler.
Okay.
Like more one-on-ones with him and Batman. Like if it was even by screen, whatever. So
I like the way they handled him though, because the Riddler's not a physical threat to Batman, right?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
He's not gonna beat him in hand-to-hand combat.
That's what I mean on screen. So like he's talking to Batman through a computer or something, and he's just trying to get him to solve the riddle, and Batman's struggling to figure it out. I think that was the only thing that was lacking from that film. But again, this is a early stage of the Batman. I think it was like year 2 for him at that point.
Yeah.
And it's so many places that this universe can go. But again, it's DC.
I say that purely off Paul Dano's performance, though. Like purely off of his performance.
Yeah, no.
I thought that character it checked every box it was supposed to check.
Shit, what?
The only like drawback. What are some quotables? Him when he was yelling no at the end when he realized Batman wasn't going to join his team.
Okay. I'm gonna have to go back and watch it, dude. They just posted it on Hulu too.
Yeah, that's one of the better Batman films out there. Like I would put it in the top 3 of Batman films that we've got. For me personally, at least. The only drawback to Paul Dano's Riddler is you could say like the riddles weren't as strong.
Yeah. Like, and that's part of what I meant.
They weren't very difficult riddles, but like I didn't really care about that because I was looking strictly at the performance of Paul Dano and how he was as Riddler. I was like, he's convincing. Like he's completely convincing as this character. The level of just pure psychoticness and the tone he's speaking with, his line delivery, like you feel the conviction of the character through the screen. I can feel this character is strong in his convictions and believes everything he's saying and truly believes he's the good guy. And I felt that through Paul. Yeah, like he felt like he was doing the right thing for real.
Listen, maybe he was part of the League of Shadows because they thought
maybe.
We doing it, but he like I said, he was on a smaller scale. He was trying to get rid of the corruption, and again, I think that speaks more again to what you like in villains because that's a very believable, and
you can almost see where he's coming from a little.
Law-abiding citizen.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
That's
basically what he was. That's
law-abiding citizen.
He was Gerard Butler and law-abiding citizen. Basically, yes. That's actually the perfect comparison. But yeah, that is our top 5 list for our top 5 villains in comic book films. Let us know you all's thoughts. Do you agree with us? Do you not agree with us? Do you think we're crazy for our takes? Hop in the comment section. Let us know what you guys think. And until next time, this is the Real Film Phonetics. We'll catch you on the flip.